Hello, welcome everyone to this Observability Clinic Ask Me Anything. So you may think there's a problem because I'm alone here. Andy's not here. Yeah, Andy is on traveling. So if he has the chance, he will connect. So Andy, if you're listening, by the way, say hi. It will be just notified that you are on the way and you're listening to this Ask Me Anything. So for those who never been to connected to this format, so Observability Clinic Ask Me Anything, well, it happens once per month and we cover specific topics. And today we have a topic related to a cloud provider. So in fact, if for those who's not been aware, we've been doing this since several months. We covered several of our partners. So we covered, of course, Azure, GCP, and today we are covering Amazon. So if you're interested on Amazon, you all welcome here. So we're going to talk about Amazon for the next coming hour. So what's the format? Very simple. We're going to remind you what we are doing, what we're supporting, and obviously we are here for you. So if you have any questions or anything in mind, please drop your questions, and we'll be more delighted to answer your questions. So because I see people coming in here. So I'm from Toulon, close to Marseille in France. So maybe you can also mention from where you're connected. So I can see that Pierre is coming from Paris. We have a couple of people from India. So it's an international event. It's pretty cool. Because we are covering a pretty technical topic, and it's very hard to get the expertise on everything for sure. That's the reason why I have guests today, similar to the previous Observability Clinic that we've done. So if you followed us in the previous month, you will probably recognize some familiar faces. So I would like to welcome to the stage today Michal Naniensky. So it's our principal product manager for cloud providers. So hi, Michal, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Actually, I'm not that good to be principal yet, although I'm a senior product manager. Working 4 years here on cloud monitoring, so maybe this will happen in future. I hope this is a nice segue to future. But together with me, there are also some other experts like Pavel.
Hey, Pavel. Pavel, we can only hear your guitar, but we cannot hear your voice.
Sorry. So, hi, I'm Pavel. I'm working on daily basis with Michał on public cloud monitoring, including AWS, and I am happy to answer your questions today.
Cool. And last, we have a new guest, a new expert, covering specifically the partnership with Amazon, and I'm referring to Eric. So hi, Eric, how are you?
Hey, Henrik. Hey, everyone. Thank you for having me today. Awesome to be here, making observability fun as always. And hey, I did notice that somebody from Peru chimed in. So, hey, Nicholas, nice to see you. I'm also from Peru, living in Fort Lauderdale.
So how can you wear a winter sweater in Florida? What's the temperature? Is it cold in Florida at the moment?
Well, for two reasons. One, I wanted to stand out. And two, I wanted to make sure that the swag people at Dynatrace know I'm actually wearing it so that I get the 2022 version.
That's a good call. So next time I will connect with my winter sweater as well, because that's pretty cool. All right. So I see that lots of people are connected. So that's wonderful. So as you know, as I explained, we are going to cover what our support with Amazon. So there's plenty of different services that Amazon is providing. So maybe before we start and getting questions from the attendees, Michal, I need you to remind us what we are able to do and what is the level of possibility with Dynatrace when it comes to Amazon.
Sure. Let me start over here and let me share my screen. I just have, I think, maybe 2 or 3 slides actually to show you. AWS, largest cloud on the market, leading the market for how many years? I don't even remember, probably starting from the beginning. And also our relations with AWS, our monitoring capabilities with AWS, I think, date back to 7 or even more years. And we are actually the deeply integrated with AWS Cloud Platform, I think even more than with others. In Dynatrace, We're AI-powered single source of truth also for cloud. And for that cloud of AWS, we're gathering all the necessary data for you to understand your environment and to understand the performance of this environment. But let me start from the full stack visibility that our one agent, our unique technology of one agent, is also able to deliver in the AWS cloud. So we can monitor EC2, obviously. We have very specific integration for AWS Fargate, as well as ECS. We have nice Dynatrace operator opportunity to integrate into the Kubernetes service that can be running on-prem or can be running in AWS cloud. We have Lambda layer integration, which is another layer of access to the workloads running within Lambda that is not possible from the outside. So we do that for the AWS Lambda. And we also have a couple of others, Beanstalk or Systems Manager, that can help you to distribute those integrations like one agent over the huge AWS environment you might have. So these are kind of dedicated integrations that we produced for AWS services, for particular AWS services, very often in cooperation with the AWS experts, to monitor that better and to provide that result into Dynatrace so they could be analyzed by Davis in the best manner. Let me now switch to the actual Dynatrace, and let me start maybe here. So this is our demo environment. Some things might be small here, but usually our customers' environments are much bigger. What the customer gets when they start to monitor AWS with Dynatrace. So first of all, we have the simple infographic, as we say, or overview that covers the most important services. We have compute services like EC2 or Lambda. We have database service like RDS or DynamoDB. We have load balancing, auto-scaling groups, so also the things that cooperate between those services. And on that level, we already can go into details of particular services or particular instances of the service, sorry. Maybe this is a bit too small, maybe I can enlarge it. And see the metrics and the overview of the particular service. This particular one, this is a classic load balancer. I think it is connected with some other EC2. I can now switch to network load balancer that also have two targets that we do have here. So we not only ingest the metrics, we also presented them in the comprehensive way. We choose the metric that should be ingested for that service, because some of the AWS services are very detailed in their reporting, which is great for some use cases. But for this general one, actually, we want to start with something that is a bit simpler to understand. And as I'm showing here, we also understand the dependencies between different services. This is actually pointing, I think, into a host that is running somewhere in AWS cloud. I was mentioning the database as well here. So this is an example of an RDS database. This actually is an Oracle. This is an Oracle database still running those things in AWS. And we, as I said, we have basic metrics of CPU utilization, memory, storage, but we also have a link of that service into Dynatrace understood service, and then we can also see how the database is being observed, not only from the cloud side, but also from the client side. So the client is running somewhere, maybe even on some other cloud or maybe on-prem, and is utilizing the database. We do have that connection. And it should be even visible on our Smartscape. So the map, the overall map of the environment that Dynatrace can monitor. So these were some examples of how we do monitoring details. I want to go back into that main screen, main infographic, and point into one specific box, because AWS has definitely more than 150 services, I think, these days even. We do monitor a bit more than 100 these days. Not all the services are performance related. Not all the services are reporting metrics. So that number is a bit lower. But here we do have cloud services, which in this case we have 5 services hidden under this box, but we can add much more. And I think the list here is quite extensive. For each of those services, we have prepared a predefined list of metrics that could be, I cannot find it. That was Firehose. I will need to switch to another one. But let me tell the story anyway. For each of those services, we have prepared a list of key metrics, as we call them. So starting to monitor a service doesn't mean you are starting from scratch. You will have, by default, couple of metrics, handful of metrics that are crucial to monitor that service. And then you can add more metric, or you can remove some metric, or adjust the dimensions of that metric. Maybe let's try that on the sample of Aurora here. You can add some metric, some additional metric, because this Aurora service is actually providing huge list of metrics. And that metrics can be also calculated or actually ingested from the cloud platform based on different dimensions that actually might be important for your particular use case. So we're very flexible here in this mechanism, and we're allowing customer to build upon what we deliver in the out of the box experience. There is a predefined set of metrics, and also for most of the services we do have predefined alerting, which again can be adjusted. So this is one part of what we're doing here, and this all is available for those cloud services. Although for a while we've been getting a lot of input from the customers regarding those core services or key services that are available in Dynatrace out of the box. And what we did here as well, let's use maybe the Lambda example. And in Lambda, we also have some integrations between this Lambda layer and the Lambda infrastructure here. But for those key services, this button for configure service also emerges here. And actually, we can remove one of these services. Let's remove RDS, for example. This is something that was released in August, so rather new. Maybe now I can save it. So actually, you can now decide which of those services to ingest or not. Previously, you need to use the tagging rules or maybe permissions in the AWS account to actually limit the ingest of that particular service. Now it's much easier. And I think now RDS is, we still see one instance because it was just removed, but that service is disabled, and the data will not be ingested, will not incur any additional cost here. So that, I think, would be almost it. What's the future of that overview? I know that our customers that are using AWS are also using hybrid scenarios with on-prem or multi-cloud or some other clouds. And we want to tackle that, and we want to go into the more multi-cloud overview. So probably this view will be replaced by something more generic that tackles across different clouds situations and actually allows customer to dig into a particular cloud if they need, but also to analyze it in a more overall manner across the geographies and across the cloud vendors. So that will be it for my quick introduction of what we do now for AWS, and maybe there are already some questions.
So I had a few questions, in fact. So you mentioned that there is various dimensions. So if I select all the dimensions that are suggested, I guess the quantity of data or the way we're going to ingest it will be different. So do we have any specific recommendation on which dimension we should, or the user should select to get the right level of details without having extra cost?
It's a good question. So as I kind of said before, we have a predefined set of metrics that already have those dimensions defined. And then if you want to add a metric, adding all the dimensions might be necessarily needed, because the dimensions have their splittings, and each value of that splitting in the dimension need to generate a data point, because this is a perspective that the data can be analyzed in future across different instances or across different timelines. So I would rather stay on the limited side of the number of the dimensions that we're ingesting, unless, of course, this is necessary for, I don't know, hierarchical structure of a database cluster and database instance, and maybe then something else there. Then I would actually go for it.
Okay, so at the end, for each services, we provide the minimal metrics that we think is required to fully understand the health of the systems and how it operates. And then if the user or the customer wants to add more details by grabbing more information, they are free to do that. So I think it's pretty flexible and pretty awesome. So I'm discovering things. I love it. I think. Thanks, Michal, for that. But I have a question for Pavel. So now we saw the beauty and the screen. So do we have any specific requirements to start if I want to use this And also, Michal mentioned about Lambda functions, and it's always tricky to get some details about Lambda functions. So, do you have any extra information or things you can share to our community?
Yes, it's a good question. So let me share my screen. I can show. Maybe it will be better. So uh, there are a couple of data sources that are uh, responsible for providing what Michał was showing. And first is the CloudWatch metrics integration. So it's super easy to start. Go into Dynatrace, and virtualization and AWS, and you simply connect your AWS accounts. And you have two ways, and the easiest one is role-based authentication. So you need to have a role deployed in IAM with the permissions that you can read in the documentation. And having this role and created the connection, all the metrics and topology data will instantly go into Dynatrace. There is alternative way of key-based authentication. With such deployment, you will need to set up our additional component called ActiveGate, but this is good for large deployments. Role-based authentication is easy and good to start. And besides
also
of
more
metrics
secure, I think. Sorry to interrupt, and also more secure. You don't need to do the key rotation.
Yeah, that's right. And so this was the first data source. The second thing that you may want to get from CloudWatch are logs. So there is a component called Dynatrace AWS Log Forwarder. It's open source on GitHub, and it pulls CloudWatch logs through Kinesis Data Firehose and put them into Dynatrace. And deployment is also super easy. It's simplified, and all you need to do is to launch the Cloud Shell of AWS console, fill in the URL and API token to Dynatrace, and run this one-liner script. And logs will start getting into Dynatrace. Also, in some some people would like to have direct log ingest, not from CloudWatch, but from S3. And I believe here is another approach you may take. It's a bit new one. It's AWS S3 Log Forwarder, and this is integration that pulls log from S3 and ingest them directly into Dynatrace. It relies on a different Lambda and SQS. And this way you may get, for instance, load balancer logs into Dynatrace. And last but not least, of course, it's about traces. And the easiest and most convenient way to get traces into Dynatrace is with one agent. But sometimes it may be not possible to get one agent, and for such cases we have Lambda integration, and we have two integrations. First is Lambda layer, so you add Dynatrace as Lambda layer to get traces, and also we have OpenTelemetry integration. So yeah, that's it, I believe.
So when you, for example, you mentioned the S3 or the log forwarder, the two Lambda functions integrations, where basically we run a Lambda function. Where is that logs coming in? I guess it's coming in as a log stream, and then our users will manage the logs from Amazon's to like traditional logs, or do we have a specific entry point?
Well, on Dynatrace Edge, we have a generic log API, log ingestion API, and everyone can use it as API. What we do with forwarders is abstraction of S3 and Kinesis protocol and the way how it works to get the logs into Dynatrace. And with AWS, some services are only publishing logs to S3, some publish to S3 and CloudWatch, some only to Kinesis. And sometimes customers would like to have instant logs, and then Kinesis, it's almost near time. It's a good fit. And sometimes it's good enough to have a bigger bulk and use S3 integration. So it all depends on the use case. We are super flexible and provide all these tools to align with the use cases that are there.
I have another questions about the cloud functions, because cloud functions, I mean, it's a serviceless component, so it means that he has a specific time to run and do what he has to do. Is there any specific recommendation for large environments where you need more than one cloud functions to collect everything, or one is enough and will collect all the logs that is provided in the S3 or in Amazon in general?
Well, this is a good question. So our current documented throughput of a single log forwarder with the 256 yes, gigs of max of RAM is 1.5 gigabyte per hour, but you can scale it up and scale it out. So the forwarder itself is subscribed to CloudWatch log group, and you can have multiple forwarders subscribed to different log groups, and then you are able to scale the traffic. And also you may assign more memory and get additional throughput in the single instance. So it all depends.
Okay, so that's
But you can scale both directions.
okay. So I guess it's really for huge environments that you need to scale. Otherwise, for traditional environments, the one cloud function, one Lambda functions is enough, I guess.
Yes, because you need to be aware also that this Lambda is running in context of single account and region. So we are not talking about 1.5 gigabyte per hour for all AWS services, but in given account and region.
Okay, so every region we can generate 1 gigabyte per second per
yeah,
seconds or per hour. I don't remember, to be honest.
per hour.
Per hour. Okay, that's quite efficient. All right, thanks, Pavel. That was sorry, I'm asking my questions. I'm trying to educate myself on this. So now, last topic that we could be interesting to cover is the partnership, because Amazon is clearly a partner, and we do several things. So, Eric, could you remind us and walk through what we're doing and what's the value for our customers and prospects when they are utilizing Dynatrace and Amazon? I think you lost your voice.
Yep, there we go. So yeah, absolutely. So I'm on the I would say I'm on the business technical side of the alliances partnership. So as you mentioned, I'm Eric Leon. I'm part of the Global Alliances organization with Dynatrace, and I'm specifically on the technical side of the alliances team, focused strictly on AWS. Now, I know we have a bunch of other hyperscalers out there, but my job is completely AWS focused. So really what that means is that as AWS is deploying new services and enhancing either the migration or modernization playbook, I work closely with all of the AWS technical teams and our own product teams to evaluate how those new technologies and see how they best fit into our own platform. So, whether it's, adoption or, the newest modernization play. I work closely with guys like Michal and Pavel, who really help to work out the strategy on the adoption roadmap. And I also work to find areas that we have may or may not have gaps in that we still need to close between us and the AWS partnership. So I think for customers, what that really means is that for our users and adopters that leverage AWS for their infrastructure needs, is that they're able to have the observability that they need in order to confirm the realized value that these products are bringing to them. So, we put the eyes and ears on the products that AWS delivers in their tech stack whether it's migration or modernization, and we make sure that they are able to see that realized value that they expect from those services as they modernize to a new application. We give them that context they need to make informed decisions about, how best to manage their digital products. I want to use our phrase is, we make it possible to confirm that they have cloud done right. So that said, a lot of integrations come in and out of my desk, and we do have some things that are scheduled in the future, and I would love to tell you about some of those great new announcements that we have coming up, even as close as ReInvent, but I'm not at liberty to say. However, I can share and reiterate that we have completed a few integrations in recent times. Hopefully, I'm not going too fast. And so one of them is VPC flow logs to Firehose Kinesis and then to Dynatrace. It's special because really this integration was special because it broke away from having to pick up the logs from, it actually broke away from having CloudWatch as one of the segments in that log delivery. It took from the stream to Firehose to our Lambda forwarder down to Dynatrace. Did I say that right, Powell?
Yeah.
The next one is telemetry API. That was based really on improving the user experience when it came to Lambda and giving the new capability to use our observability as an endpoint and as a direct endpoint for platform events, traces, and performance. In the past, it was really just platform events, and then we had to instrument, or the user would have to instrument third-party configurations in order to get the traces and performance out. But now we're able to do all three of those things with with a new telemetry API that's now recently available. And the one thing that I wanted to demo today, John, if you could throw that video up, but don't start it just yet. So don't start it just yet. And so we recently released our solution that automates the deployment of a new instance of Dynatrace. So as we are working towards improving the user experience, and Henrik, you and I both come from the customer background, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I know I did, but anything that made our life easier and better was always welcome, right? It was always welcome, whether it was from Dynatrace or any other software partner. So we welcome these, and what we did was we released a new way to automatically deploy the Dynatrace tenant and the CloudWatch configuration that both Michal and Pavel both showcased today, right from the AWS Marketplace. So instead of having to compose your EC2 assets, enable CloudWatch monitoring, going back to the platform, subscribing to our platform, going in and selecting that configuration for CloudWatch as Pavel showcased, we're going to do it directly from the marketplace. So that's the benefit and the power of the partnerships, to really work together to bring this experience, to make the experience much better for our customers. So go ahead, hold on one second. Let me just get set up here myself. And hold on. Okay, go for it, John. Okay, so we're gonna navigate to the marketplace website. We're gonna search for Modern Cloud Done Right. And I'm sorry, it's going a little fast. You'll see our offering here. We'll click on that. We're gonna have our product overview page here. It's good practice to kind of read over this, understand the pricing. It is pay as you go. So understand the pricing, make sure that it complies with your organization's standards. And if you're financing this yourself, make sure you're aware of that as well. And then we're gonna continue to the subscribe button. Okay, so here we'll have the just a little bit of a disclaimer, and we'll set up for software. So we'll click on that. Okay, so first we're going to make sure that you have the right. You're going to make sure that you have the right permissions in your console, and then we're going to click on create a new vendor account. Again, this is all in the AWS Marketplace. We're going to fill out all the pertinent information and click connect. This takes about a minute or so, but for the demo, I sped this up. So now we have a new instance of the marketplace in Dynatrace. So we're going to head back to the marketplace once it's created. because we need to deploy a few CloudFormation templates that will actually configure the Dynatrace platform. So we'll click on number 3. This is going to create the stack. You don't want to change anything here. Everything is really good. Make sure you acknowledge the that you're going to be creating some IAM resources. And then we're going to create the stack. Again, this will take a few minutes, but we've sped this up just a bit. In the background, it's provisioning all of those assets and credentials, and deploying your new tenant. So we're going to go ahead, and the stack is now created. The Dynatrace AWS monitoring stack is now created, and we're headed back to Marketplace to finally launch the Dynatrace instance. Now, I won't go through this again because Pavel and Michal both hit this point. And then we're going to go down to infrastructure, select AWS. I was mouse happy that day. And then again, as we showed, here's the CloudWatch integration. And you'll be able to see and dive down into all of those metrics that was explained before. You can take that video down, John. Thank you so much.
So you're saying that once you, if you spin up a tenant in the marketplace directly, we also configure the connections with that Pavel showed us a few seconds ago. So
Absolutely.
then it's like you don't have to do it. You just click, and that's it. Everything is in setup.
Right. So the marketplace gives you 2 options. One of them is to go ahead and follow those same steps I just described. And that way you get that automatic provisioning of a new Dynatrace tenant and the CloudWatch integration. Or if you already have a tenant, you can actually go ahead and provision it manually. You can also, there's a link there as well. You can take that and go ahead and put in your tokens, back from AWS and from Dynatrace, and set up monitoring that way as well.
Okay, so that's easy to use. And very quick onboarding for prospects and customers. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, and that's kind of what that alliances partnership tries to do, is to bring these to enhance the user experience, bring the technical eyes and ears that is necessary for today's modernization play. One of the great features and assets that, and I do have links to share. Through the chat, but one of the great assets that I've been using lately, it's the AWS Immersion Day workshop, and that is really it's a 9 module workshop that is Dynatrace and AWS partnered led, so that we can teach about how Dynatrace does the observability or covers the observability for the AWS stack. It takes you from monolith to microservices to Kubernetes events, showcases the features of the platform and how you can, effectively use them. And in a 4-hour session, which is instructor-led, like I mentioned, it really does give you a good overview of what you're capable of doing. And I've put the link out there as well. So that's another asset.
So you said 9 hours. So you said in 9 hours, I'm the king of the cloud.
It's 9 modules or 9 sections, okay. And 4 hours. 4 hours. We don't want to keep anybody in 9 hours. By 9 hours, you're already in happy hour, by the way.
Okay. It's really cool. I mean, you walk through all the right educational content for our users. That's wonderful.
Yeah. It's had a lot of good success. If the audience is interested in having this sort of workshop, certainly reach out to your field team, because they'll bring that back to us, and we can formalize that to hold an event in a calendar time. So that's all. And then the last thing I'll mention, and then I'll go away quietly, is that for ReInvent, if you're going to be at ReInvent, we've one of our own alliance partners, which is Mandy on my team, has set up a really cool way to gamify Dynatrace and the AWS experience. So the cool gamer kids can come out and put their chops to the test. We're going to be hosting it on November 28th at 1:30, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be prizes. Some team is going to rise to the top and take the top prize. So looking forward to seeing that.
So which game is it? So I need to practice before I come to ReInvent.
It is not a specific game. It is the Dynatrace AWS Quest.
Okay.
It'll be like either
So like
capture
a
the
Street
flag.
Fighter. It's a Street
I'm sorry?
Fighter. It's a Street Fighter. You're fighting against bugs and outages.
You're fighting against bad metrics. Yes. So come on out and join us. So anyway, so that's kind of the area I cover. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. Thanks. I mean, that was really interesting, to be honest. While you were presenting, there was an interesting questions from the audience related to logs. So the question is up. Can you show some Lambda logs? So I think Pavel is looking at that question, saying, "Okay, I'm going to do that." Pavel, are you up for that?
Yes, let me show my screen. I hope I will be able to demo it. So when you go into Dynatrace logs, you will see our new log viewer with logs on Grail, and you can easily filter logs by AWS service. And you must excuse me because I'm using dev environment, so it may be a bit slow, but I try to demonstrate it. Okay, so let's take logs from Lambda, from USTist1.
And at the end, what you're showing here is the easy way of filtering. But if you click on advanced, you can definitely utilize the DQL. So for those who are not aware of DQL, DQL
Yes,
stands for Dynatrace Query Language. So here's an example. Great.
so let's try DQL. So what I have here are Lambda logs from some basic Lambda that simply logs begin and end of request. And when we look into the content of the end request, there is a nice information about the build duration. So what we can do is try to parse this number out of this line to have it as separate data. So let's do it. And I won't risk typo. I did it before, so with this line, I'm saying that I would like to find build duration inside the line of log and extract the build duration into new attribute when we run it.
And you specify that the build duration is an integer.
Exactly. So now we have this new column with build duration. And also we have some null values, and this is because build duration is only on the end of request. But here we can filter out these null lines. So we use filter, is not null, and use this build duration.
So now build duration is a new field, so then you can use it as a filter. That's cool.
Exactly. And I have now only the lines with build duration, but there are a lot of other lines. So what I can do is keep only the fields that may be interesting for trend analysis. So we have field keep feature, and let's take AWS region and AWS resource ID, timestamp, and build duration. So now it looks more clear. And also we may want to, instead of sorting, aggregate it a bit. So let's use summarize. And let's have average build duration. And let's call this column average build duration. And let's specify how we would like to aggregate. So let's have it in 1 hour timestamps. And let's keep our AWS region and AWS resource ID. There is something wrong. Yes, here. Okay. All right, so I have this aggregated, and now if we would like to have a view how it behaves over time, we can visualize it as time chart. And what is also nice, we can use it as dashboard tile. So we can pin it to dashboard.
And
And
for those who, so here you're making a dashboard, but I guess similar to what we were able to do with the previous log v2 before Grail, you can create metrics that will be considered like a new metric or an event, or can you do that as well, or is it only on?
Yes, I can, but log-based metrics are also possible, but now it's even without creating these log-based metrics possible to extract, to create time series visualization just on log data with DQL.
That's awesome. It's great. So which means now you could parse any of your logs from your Lambda functions and also extract useful metrics and use it for alerting or anything else. But there's a question here specific to alerting. So you're converting here logs to metric? Can we take benefits of Davis AI on these metrics that you have just built?
I believe that to leverage Davis AI and alerting, you need to create metrics out of logs. So this is another feature, and this is what you can do in the settings.
So just small note for the attendees. So this is not limited to Amazon. So it's the new Grail is the new one of our core components of Dynatrace, which is new, covering at the moment logs, but it will cover more things in the future. But you can anything that is logs at the moment could be done that way. So here we are covering Amazon, but you can do it with other type of logs for sure.
Yeah, and to have a log metric and to have it available in Data Explorer, you would need to follow this way. So to create metric in the settings log monitoring, you also can create here log-based events. So I think this is the answer to the question.
And then once you have the metric, you can create anomaly detection roles. You can create plenty of other stuff because we have the metric in Dynatrace. All right, awesome. So that was really interesting. So I guess here you were so, which means because it's part of Dynatrace, so anything, any logs or Lambda or any other source would be what you showed today would be possible. So I guess with this log forwarder that you mentioned initially, you can also use the similar feature that you just demonstrated a few seconds ago.
Yeah.
All right. I think there was a questions from more related to Eric.
That was I believe Yannick asked how he could register for a Immersion Day. And Yannick, we just ran one, and I think you're out of Belgium. We just ran one in Benelux a few months ago, but definitely reach out to the field team if you're a current Dynatrace user. If not, just I think you can pretty much just Google Dynatrace for Belgium and request. And if not, send the moderator here your email address, and I'll get you invited to the next one, which is going to be on December 7th. It is for North America, but if you're okay with that, then and waking up at a different time zone, we'll certainly invite you to that.
So do you have already some precise schedule for those immersion days, or it's based on the requests from partners and customers?
Yeah, it's a little of both. We're working on the 2023 calendar now, and then certainly it is by demand, or or the representatives themselves see an opportunity to either educate new prospects or existing prospects. So it just depends, and we'll pretty much run an immersion day for if we see that there's good audience, there's a good audience for it.
All right. Questions, just to get back to Grail. So I don't know if Michal, you have the answer, or maybe Pavel. I guess nobody. If customers are interested to have Grail, because I'm not sure they will have access directly. How can they take advantage of Grail today?
I'm not sure if I have an answer today, but Grail is something that Dynatrace announced quite recently, and the most benefit you can have out of Grail, its performance mostly, is with logs. And this is also part of what Pavel was showing here. I'm not sure where we should go with this question. Like, Grail will provide storage for performance storage for huge amount of data. In public cloud monitoring, we do have such situations, not necessarily with AWS, because we do that dimension limiting and a couple of other things, to be on the safe side with the size of the data. But of course, if you want to have absolutely everything from CloudWatch in Dynatrace, which is, by the way, not that recommended, then actually the Grail can help you to have the data in a much more responsive environment. That would be my answer here. But I think it's also a bit early to say that you that you need to be in Grail, next week. It is a gradual migration, and every customer will be there, but it just started.
Okay, so if I wanted to be able to do some DQL, I definitely Grail. So if customers are waiting for Grail, I guess the easy way is to reach out to your sales, to your local sales, and probably request for it and see if you could be able to use it in the next coming weeks or month, to at least try DQL and see the value of DQL for sure. All right, so I think I'm looking if there are any other new questions. I see that Rob is quite active in the chat. So hey, we say Rob, thanks for connecting, and thanks for bringing extra content to our community. Other questions before, because we have 10 minutes, almost 10 minutes left. I would say question is about how do we I had a questions from a customer and a partner the other day. If I use what's the name? I have a completely blanked. I can use Kubernetes with EKS in Amazon, but I have the options to use EC2 containers, EC2 virtual machines with also, what's the name? Gosh, I don't remember. I forgot the name of the Amazon services. You mentioned it at the beginning, which is never mind. Let me have it. I will tell you, but I forgot it. But there is plenty of different way of monitoring Kubernetes. But if it's a traditional Kubernetes cluster, you can use the operator. But if you're using the other approach, which, if I recall, I will share it. You can also. Sorry.
You refer to difference between Elastic Kubernetes services and Elastic Container Services?
No, I was thinking of it's an orchestration layer of Amazon, but never mind. I don't remember the name as of now, so I won't search it because it will take too much time to find it.
Fargate.
Okay, I was thinking
Fargate.
of Fargate. So what would be the experience from a user if they use Fargate to run their Kubernetes cluster? And by the way, I would be interested if anyone connected is using Fargate for Kubernetes or they're using traditional EKS. That would be interesting. for us to understand what's your preferred solution. But for us, what would be the difference if I use EKS or Fargate? Do we have different details? Do we have different informations with the Fargate integration?
The question is more directed for our kind of container Ask Me Anything session, because the thing that we are now in cloud, and especially in AWS cloud, I don't think it changes that much. Kubernetes is a one way to scale up and have efficient workloads, and we have, I think, great support for Kubernetes, regardless whether it's EKS anywhere, like EKS on premise or any other EKS with the operator actually. And I would recommend to start with that, and then maybe additionally add infrastructure monitoring on top of that, especially on kind of billing aspect of that Kubernetes in the cloud, because this is the usual thing that might be missing when you're monitoring things from inside. Like even just Pavel showed with Lambda, we have great Lambda monitoring, but the build duration is not that accessible from within, so we need to be added anyway. But coming back to the Kubernetes and Fargate, and for Fargate, we also have some infrastructure monitoring, and again, I would direct it more into the billing side. But our integration with Fargate is also based on the integration with the container, with the image. But maybe Pavel, you correct me if I'm wrong, because this is not directly my part of piece of cake that I'm dealing on daily basis.
Well, I believe I've been playing with Fargate, and I think there may be some flavors of Fargate also, but Fargate on Elastic Kubernetes services is no different to monitoring EKS. So I believe you can do it with operator. I don't know if you will see the nodes because of the nature of Fargate. So it's a headless Kubernetes. So this will be the difference. But what is also interesting, there is a new service. I believe it was introduced last year. It's AppRunner from AWS, and it's another incarnation of containerized service. So there you can use our Docker integration and inject one agent with your custom Docker image. And this is the approach that we recommend, and it works flawlessly.
So you have to build your image with our agents included in the image at the end.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I would definitely have to try Fargate, but I was interesting also from the people connected if they are more using EKS or also Fargate, because it will be interesting to see what's the adoptions and what's the preference from the community as well. Because I think EKS is great, but I've never tried with Fargate to be honest. All right, so I think we have only a few minutes left before we close this Ask Me Anything.
Can I mention one topic? Yep. Because maybe you noticed that when Pavel was sharing his screen, or maybe from some other sources, that in general, in AWS monitoring, but in general in Dynatrace, we're also are allowing more and more open source integrations. Like this AWS log forwarder is fully, entirely available on GitHub, and we might also provide a link for that. And same goes for example, I have one example here. Maybe I can still share my screen if I find it, of course. We also have an integration for AWS health events. Am I share my screen already? Yeah. So I can maybe talk about just briefly. This is ingesting health events from AWS regions and from AWS resources through EventBridge, if I'm not mistaken, and placing those events onto Dynatrace entities. So actually, they can be used, can enrich our analysis. But that's one minor thing that plenty of these will be probably done by us, by our partners, maybe even by customers. But this is kind of also the opening of what we are doing here. All the code is here. It is not that complex. We have the open endpoints that could be fed with those data points. And I think this is also the future of our cloud monitoring, and maybe even more, to be much, much more open, much more flexible, and actually allow everyone to contribute into the picture of what we want to monitor. I interrupted you, Henry. Please continue.
No, I think it's great. Great. I think we do the same. We all do the same thing. I think with the other cloud provider integrations. I'm not wrong. So check it out on our github.com/ Dynatrace OSS, and you will see the various open source initiatives that is available there. Before we have 5 minutes to go, so what I would like to do before we close this Ask Me Anything is maybe remind the various events that will come in the next following days. There are a couple of events coming in. So first of all, tomorrow, if there is an observability technique that you have to come, because I've prepared some content and Wolfgang has also prepared some content, so it deserves to be watched. So it's leverage Davis AI to analyze your systems before things break. So you probably know Davis, which is a proactive, reactive based on problems. Here you will be able now to utilize Davis in a proactive way, which means you ask Davis to help you to drive your analysis based on various metrics that is available. So it's really interesting. You will see it's very promising. And for those who's been working in the performance engineering world, you will be very excited about that new feature. So don't forget to join us tomorrow. Tomorrow, same time, but with an Observability Live clinic with, me and Wolfgang here. Second thing is tomorrow, I'm starting a new YouTube series. So it's a new format. So I am the owner of the YouTube channel called Observable. Is it Observable? And where I provide tutorials and different content. And now we're starting a series. So once per quarter, I'm doing a lightning talks. So that will be the kickoff of that lightning talk series is tomorrow, just after the Observability Clinic. And I have 3 amazing speakers that will be connected. So Steve McGee will cover the SRE topic. So everyone will have 50 minutes presentations, and then we will have a panel discussion. We have Michael Ozenblas from Amazon that will talk about observability, and we will have Aloita Sharma that will talk about open source, how to bring innovations in your environments. Next, we have something that is also mentioned by Eric a few minutes ago. It's ReInvent. So Eric, could you maybe share some details about ReInvent maybe?
Yeah, so come out and meet us. We'll be there from November 28th to December 2nd, booth 3223 at the Venetian Expo. We do have some amazing speakers that are going to be headed out to the stage. One of them is going to be Patrick Thurner here, Modernize Faster with Serverless and End-to-End Observability. Patrick is awesome at serverless. He leads our product team in that area, and he's surely not to miss. And then, of course, the other face of the brand, Rob John, is going to be talking to us about powering cloud modernization through log observability. I can tell you that you're going to learn a lot about Grail in that conversation. I know he's out there in our chats on this meeting, but it's always fun to get his perspective on use cases. So we'll be there on Thursday, December 1st from 3:30 to 4:30 in the Caesars Forum.
Awesome. So plenty of things that you should follow. And last, one thing which is quite exciting, it's Perform.
Yes.
Perform happens in present. You can be virtual, of course, or if you're sick to be virtual and you want to be in person, join us in Vegas, February 13th, 16th of February. And there is some amazing speaker. I saw that the other day. I don't know if people are doing skateboarding or playing video games, but there is someone, a legend, that will come to speak on stage. And I'm referring to Tommy Hawk. So if you want just come and have just the signature of Tommy Hawk, it deserves to come. So just register, come. There is a couple of things. There is 2 days of hot day trainings. And then, of course, traditional Perform conference. So come and join us. It's been a while we didn't interact with you in person. It's always fun to be in Vegas and to see everyone and just network. All right, so that's it for today's Ask Me Anything. And I think also it ends our cloud provider series. So I think I will be missing Pavel and Michal because I'm used to have one per month and Ask Me Anything. So guys, we have to come to an excuse to have another Ask Me Anything with you guys next month for sure. But maybe we can come to a funny theme, because next month is close to Christmas, so we can do like an Ask Me Anything for Christmas. So we will see. But stay tuned. We will probably have another Ask Me Anything coming for the next month. Wearing all the winter sweater that Eric was wearing, and eating some and drinking some whatever Christmas beverage. We'll see. But yeah. So thanks for your time. Thanks, guys, for being here again. And see you soon. See you next month for another Ask Me Anything.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.